My 30M, GF, 35F, and I have been together for almost a year now. I already know I want to marry her someday, but she was clear even on our first date that she wants to take things slow, and we have. She's a very beautiful woman, and also black. I am white. No big deal to me. But this comes into play. I posted a photo on Facebook of us after we agreed to be exclusive and an official couple. I did touch up the photo a bit, and when she came over she asked about what I did to change the photo. I was honest with her and told her I did use a lightening tool as she is very dark-skinned and I felt her mood shift entirely. She was overly calm and asked me if her dark tone needed adjusting that much in photos, and I got nervous and just joked that if she's darker than Lupita Nyong'o, an actress she loves, then yeah, I had to lighten her up a bit. I have to say I think my GF is gorgeous and striking. She has these beautiful almost hazel eyes, long curly thick hair, and is toned like a midnight sky. I've never seen anyone who looks like her in person. Here where I may he and ah. I work in photography as a hobby after work and mainly do weddings and such, but have little to no experience in photos of people of color, so I asked to do some test shoots with her. When I showed her the touched up photos she said that she looked noticeably lighter in her skin tone and said that she didn't really like it. I honestly thought one of the photos might very well be my favorite photo of her ever and pointed out that I always think she's beautiful, but this photo is the most beautiful I've ever seen her. She asked me if that meant I wished her skin was lighter, but reassured her that I don't obsess about what I can't change and I always think she is the most attractive person in the room. She started taking about how she was discriminated against and I quickly backtracked because I felt she was trying to say I might be racist. I am not. She said that it happens even in black communities that people with darker skin are treated badly, and that because she is biologically an only child all her siblings are lighter and it was a point of bullying for her. I said, well, I am not black so I am not shaming you, which my brain did the stupid sentence salad and I knew I sounded stupid, but she just went quiet and didn't really say much after that and didn't want to stay over after. She was a bit distant for a day and then texted the other night that we need to talk essentially. I assume it's about this, but it feels so blown up by now. Ada for this? Update 1. It's very disheartening to find so many people on here that are so quick to throw insults and weighted terms and wish for calamity upon another human being. I wish you all peace someday, and I suggest you replace the hate in your hearts with empathy, patience, and love. I will update soon, as despite the trolls, some genuinely good people have reached out and I am grateful. You saved me from making an even worse mistake and for sure losing someone I hold dear. Oop, I edited the photo and touched it up like a billion people edit and touch up photos all over the world. Oop, I never said that. I did say I liked the photo and that it's likely one of my favorites of her, but it was genuinely an innocent "you're just so beautiful" thing that was colored with me being proud of sharpening my skills to produce an image of her. I do very much tend to lean on the side of not obsessing about unchangeable things, but I never meant it to allude that unchanging things are bad things. I do hear what you're saying in the way it all sounded and have realized how hurtful that must have been coming from her BF. So I will be apologizing and trying to do better. Oop, thank you, that actually makes sense. I am on my way to speak with her soon, so this helps me better understand SND articulate what I need. I love her, but I am human and screw up sometimes, and I wanted to understand more, but this does make more sense to me than the random insults I've even reading. Update 2. Hey guys. To some of your joy and others' dismay, my GF did not break up with me nor me with her. I invited her out to her absolute favorite restaurant, got dressed up, had flowers, and wrote an apology in a card. Said card said in the front "mean people suck," and on the inside it said "I am sorry," where I wrote out how I completely fucked up and I hurt the woman I adore and admire and I was so incredibly sorry. I apologized in person too, of course, and at first she had no expression. She just listened to me and I was getting nervous, so I started rambling and stuttering and sounded like an idiot, but she leaned forward and touched my knee and told me she appreciated me taking time to apologize like this and she had already forgiven me, and asked if she can talk about it to me, which of course I said yes. She explained further that it took her years to lobe her skin and how she was bullied by strangers, friends, and family alike for her dark skin. She said the Black Panther movies meant so much to her in part because of how diverse the skin tones, hair, and builds of black people were represented, and she loved the race that a dark-skinned black woman was prominently on a poster for it. She told me that she foresaw hurdles as we are an interracial couple, but me calling the photo my favorite made her feel that I secretly wished she were lighter, and it reignited a deep insecurity. I apologized and reiterated that she is the most beautifully striking woman I have ever seen and that I feel she is out of my fucking league a million times over, but I did not show or appreciate that when I got defensive. I conceded that it was not her job to educate me on racism or microaggression, but she said while she agrees she prefers me to just talk to her, ask questions, and accept feedback. I agreed, so long as I didn't overburden her with it, as I intend to resume my previously paused therapy and start getting more educated. She's actually really interested in my photography and wants to learn how to edit for fun and also to potentially help me out for when she says I blow up and get too many clients to handle. I am falling in love with her all over again. I know I don't deserve her love or patience, but am I lucky bastard indeed. I ended up showing her my first post and she laughed at me for being clueless, but helped me feel better after some of the bushings I received. She's a really sweet person and I love her so much. It was a brief chat only because she volunteers on Saturdays, but she accepted my invite for me to spoil her tonight by taking her to her favorite hot pot place and buying her whatever she wants as a feeble attempt to partly mend things. I told her anytime she feels othered or is hurt because of the complexity of our backwards world still not treating humans like humans, to please consider speaking to me about it. While she doesn't have to, I wanted her to know she always can and I will always be there to listen. We plan to take an editing class together, this time by a photographer of color, and I cannot wait. Thanks to all who have been kind and civil while gently helping me navigate to this place. I still have a lot of making up to do, but I feel like I am back on the right track. Edit. Since I've now gotten messages and comments from more than 3 people wishing me nothing but misery. I want to make this blanket edit. You're free to lash out at internet strangers, but I am so blessed and lucky because th3 one opinion I needed the most was my GF's and she just sent me a meme of those penguins hugging and it says I love you. I'm lucky as hell and happier than I deserve. If that displeased you, I suggest doing something kind for yourself or someone you love today. Knowing your loved ones know of and feel your love is a hell of a drug. A little update also because I've had to say it a few times in the comments. My GF and I had a really long and deep conversation and are feeling really good about things. I invited her over to watch Netflix and I have cooked dinner. She's been really sweet to this old asshole she's dating. I cannot express my relief, but I know I am in the midst of learning and unlearning things. Someone sent me a few books over Kindle to read and I want to say thank you. I'm already midway through one and it's been eye-opening. Much love to all of you. Good night. Oop, I ask myself something similar and from what I've read as I'm trying to learn, many Americans have this weird concept that lighter is better, but I never thought I felt that way. My GF is like midnight. She is the darkest or chocolate on scale, her words, but she has bright big hazel eyes so she is sort of an anomaly in that way. I have truly never met a person who looked like her before or after other than her parents. But I immediately thought she was the most beautiful girl in the world. My best guess is the class I took for editing was around these spectrums of tools and I leaned hard into that set of rules. I won't bore you with aperture issues etc., but it was golden hour and she wore bright clothes on the photo, so I think I was trying to even everything out. My best friend, who also happens to be a black woman, suggested that my consumption of certain media on Facebook, Instagram etc. skewed me on a certain direction of how photos should look, so maybe that's a factor. The thing I think really got me is that my stepmother was a black woman, and she had opinions about shades of skins as she got older. I loved her deeply and still do, but as she declined towards the end I think a lot of intrusive thoughts won out as we spoke. Please understand that she was not a bad person. She had a rough life and yet managed to be the sweetest adoptive mother one could ask for. I didn't bring her up before at first because I never considered it a reason, and then after because frankly I got such vile and cruel feedback by a handful of people and I simply couldn't bear it if someone mistook one flaw of mom as her being horrible when she is likely the reason I am here alive today. At the end though, there is no good reason or justifiable reason. And typing out how pretty I think she is does not change the fact that there is an underlying fucked up reason it felt so normal and innocuous to do that. I why I backpedaled and got defensive. I wanted her to like the photos and thought I could sway her by being positive stupid, but in an oversimplified way that was the gist. It haunts me, but I'm trying not to rush it. I have a therapy session for 2 weeks from now with a woman I know and trust and is also a black woman in an interracial relationship. She offered to help me and honestly I felt like a helpless baby bird floundering before that, so I have a few sessions with her this summer. I am hoping to figure it out. Sorry, I know that was a lot. It's on my mind constantly. My partner is with me this sub-average white bearded bald dude with a certifiable dad bod, while she is supermodel gorgeous. I take her out and she gets hit by any gender. It's not so secretly a huge boost in those moments because she makes it a huge deal that she is the full for the compliments or offers, but she is with her BF and I am her one and only. I'm sorry for rambling. And for the non-answer. I am still processing. And I meet her for dinner tonight and am nervous as hell. Oop, I am sorry to even have evoked those feelings. I was being stupid and defensive. My ignorance caused a lot of hurt. I can only hope very deeply that I can, will, and do love her so actively that any time that thought comes row her me d she would perish it. I will do my best to make that reality story too. Son's fiancé wants me to call he, are my daughter, but I don't want to lie and say I love her like my actual daughter. I, 41M, have 2 kids with my ex-wife, 42F, a son John 22 and daughter Sally, 20, I'm remarried to my wife, 28. I'm very close with my kids. My son is engaged to Abby. She seems nice but has been a bit pushy trying to create relationships with me and my wife, though she's also awkward with her. Abby isn't close to her family. She told us many stories why, and while some of her complaints don't seem awful, it's not my place to judge and I didn't live it so I can't know anyway. We've tried to be welcoming, but Abby has forced her way into some family traditions where she wouldn't have been invited, and some where no one outside of specific family would have. She has been calling Sally sis since they were only dating a few months, has an odd sister/mother-in-law thing she does with my wife, and the one I'm not a fan of, wants me to be like father to her. Not because we've clicked or anything. We are very different people, not saying that in a bad way, just saying it's not based on how we get along or anything. My kids and I have a tradition when they come over that we have a private catch-up in my office/study before they leave, which is now even more important to them because while they both get along well with my wife, they don't want to have personal conversations around her yet. Abby asked if we could talk, and after I explained the tradition, John later asked that I do it, saying she'd never had a caring conversation with her dad. We compromised that I didn't include her in the tradition but do join the two of them for coffee and let her talk. Then she started calling me dad. They weren't even engaged yet. John pulled me aside and begged me to give her that. Laid this whole thing on me about me always being the dad she always wanted right in front of her and she just wanted that. Told me she cried watching me and Sally together. She still gives me random hugs. I'm a lucky dad. I didn't like it but I do feel bad, so fine, I gave her that. She wants me to walk her down the aisle in the father/daughter dance. I don't want to walk her down, and I walk with a cane so dancing is hard. At my own wedding I only danced twice. John is begging for me to do one, preferably the aisle. They came over Sunday, John and I were talking. I thought to address it, when Ab walked in without knocking, asking if he told me yet. I asked what. John said she wanted me to say something about having a second daughter now in my speech and how I loved her. I just looked at him. She asked if I'd do the walk and dance for Sally. I said of course. She yelled she's my daughter too and I said it will never be the same. Sally is my actual daughter. I tried to explain I'd talk about her being a happy addition to the family and I love how happy she makes Jack, which I thought was a good compromise, but she started crying. John apologized and they left, but he called me when they were home nearly begging me to. Ida, because I won't lie and say I love her or she's my daughter. Oop, John told me she really wants to be part of the family, but she started so quickly I wonder how much is us versus the idea of us. I've been told she immediately was obsessed with the relationship my kids and I have. The yelling, I was more concerned for John than upset, honestly. She seemed not okay right then. Oop, she knows Sally a bit now. With me she learns surface level things and approaches me, but when I try to engage she immediately acts like we're so close and switches subjects to something related to how much closer we should be. John says it's nerves but it doesn't seem like it. Update 1. Mother's Day, my kids and their partners go to visit my ex-wife. So it turns out my ex-wife and Abby are a lot closer than I realized. She calls her mom, which is part of where this comes from. Also apparently my ex has been egging it on. On Mother's Day they were talking about the wedding and I go, whenever Abby referred to me it was as dad. My son apparently told her let it go, which led to yelling. Abby about deserving to be my daughter, ex telling her that she's right. Son telling her that I am trying and she should be realistic about things. Sally telling her I only had one daughter, which was apparently a response to Abby saying to her that as my daughters they should be united. According to my son Abby was crying. According to Sally she was crying and yelling and kicked something before going to her room. And Sally told me she went off on her mom, but will not elaborate so I don't know what was actually said. But knowing Sally, who boy. Around 2 a.m. I got a text from Sally's partner's phone saying Abby really is great, she hasn't been perfect but you should give her a chance and you will learn to love her. I saw it when I woke up. I tried to text her back but was blocked, so I called Sally but they were driving. They stopped by my place later that day because I am on the way and my daughter prefers my liquor and cooking and they told me about the night before. At the end I asked to speak to her partner alone. I asked if I had done something to upset her. She was confused and I told her I was blocked. She said I wasn't but checked her phone and I was, and I said it was after her message and she asked what message. I showed her, it was not on her phone anymore. At that point we brought in Sally and caught her up, neither of them were happy. A couple of days later John and Abby dropped by unannounced. Not something we really do in this family but okay fine. I had mad salmon, does not take long to cook. I cooked 2 more, wife serves while I make drinks. The entire night was Abby trying to bring up the wedding, John trying to change the subject, Abby not allowing that. We talk logistics because I'm helping them get some good deals through some professional contacts I have when finally she just says so I was talking to mom. She said that you can walk me down the aisle and she'll do the dance, or you can dance and she'll walk, it's your call but you need to choose soon. I reiterated that I could not dance. She tried arguing that I had danced a little at my wedding but I made it clear that is different, and did not feel comfortable walking her. She got upset and said mom loves me, why can't you? I felt bad but couldn't lie. I pointed out that she had John who loved her, my ex-wife, friends, she had people who love her. She said but other than ex-wife, those aren't my parents. I said neither am I. She was very emotional so my wife and I gave them a few minutes. My son and I were alone later. He looked exhausted. He said the problem was that after Mother's Day Abby had called Sally and kept saying they are both my daughters, that I did not get to be close with one but not both, and that it was them against me, but at that one Sally cried havoc and let slip the dogs of war. Things were said. Grievances were aired. John had to hang up before it got worse, but I guess Abby was shaken, but there was a new problem. Abby had decided in her head that I did not mean what I had been saying and was just doing it for Sally. He told me he would handle it. Ron Howard, he did not, so now I get text messages from Abby every couple of days acting like we have a secret relationship Sally doesn't know about. She even called herself my secret daughter and lolled. She invited my wife to lunch saying 2 out of 3 of his girls going out. She has even started using the pressure of showing up at events like a recent barbecue to play a certain image. She hugs me more and holds it, wants to do pictures with just me or my wife and I, but always a few with just me to post with captions I do not like. My wife is getting especially annoyed because of how she is with her. I guess Abby surprised her with Father's Day plans for me that had to be shut down. As it is, she still inserted herself into the day, but she has a soft spot for and when Abby gets emotional she caves. My wife is a sweetheart. I asked him if he is upset with me and he said no, he just wished it was different. He said we're good, but he's worried he and Sally aren't, which is when I took the advice of some people and suggested premarital counseling. He said he would talk about it. Abby is insisting Sally go to her fitting. That shop should pay per view that potential Royal Rumble because Sally is not holding her feelings back anymore. I told him Sally loves him and I'll talk to her, but for now it is stressful all around. Abby driving my wife crazy with her ideas for what my girls should be doing, driving me crazy with dad-daughter content, drove Sally to the edge, and oh yeah, last night sent me an email with 3 styles of father-daughter dances and song options, so I'm not feeling any more respected or heard than before. The 6 of us have barely been in the same room in order to let things calm down since Father's Day, which was great until it was a shit show. Sorry this is so long, with all the craziness this is still the abridged version. We are supposed to meet Friday, Sally's partner and I have a bet going about how bad it will go. So onward and upward. I hope you fathers had a less dramatic day than I did, and by any chance does anyone know exactly how bad of a crime I need to commit to enter witness protection? Just curious. The shame is we used to sort of like her, my daughter, my wife, and myself. Early on she was interesting, diverse interests, she has traveled a lot for her age, she and I even have overlap in musical taste. The problem was when she decided she wanted this, her personality changed and she started getting pushy, changing subjects to what she wanted if they were subjects she liked. It was like everything was put on hold until we acquiesced, which we haven't, so it has not gone on. You make a good point about witness protection, plus I have been meaning to take up location tracker, free boating and scuba diving in sharky waters. I do not think confirmation is possible, but her phone was where Abby would have been able to get it according to Sally. Sally asked to be the one to tell him, this is crazy but with everything going on, job stuff, great news, family stuff, best news, wedding stuff, I try to watch my drinking, and the family exploding a bit at Father's Day, I honestly forgot to ask her what happened. I have to call her later. It's funny until you sit down and write everything out you don't realize how much there is. It just feels like one thing after another. My daughter said the same thing about the baby coming. Your second paragraph sounds like hell. Thankfully my wife has a close circle of friends for those things, but I am sure you are right that Abby will trio to insert herself in our pregnancy journey like she did my Father's Day.